Hello and welcome to my studio. In this video I'm going to show you how I made this image. This uses a common optical illusion to simulate an egg on the edge of a precipice. But to really sell the illusion to the viewer, careful consideration was paid to the way it was lit. And in this video I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. Okay, so the first thing to do is just to set up the optical illusion part of the image. So what I've got here is a piece of black matte Perspex, and I'm using this so that I end up with a black surface which doesn't have very much of a sheen to it. Then on top of that I'm going to place a couple of pieces of card. So basically all I'm going to do is just place this one about here somewhere like that, and then place this one at a bit of an angle. There we go. And the idea is that if I get this in just about the right place, that, and viewed from the right angle, this will look like the top of a column. Okay, so the next thing would be the subject. For that I've got an egg, and on the bottom of the egg here I've just placed a little blue tack. And the idea of that is just to stop it rolling over. So what I'm going to do is just pop this just on the edge here with the blue tack. I'll just press that down ever so slightly like that. Okay, there we go. Right, so that's the subject setup. Next thing to do will be to set up a camera position. So I'm going to use this tripod, which has a geared center column and a geared head on it. We're just going to place this about here somewhere. So this will be my viewpoint. Okay, next thing would be the camera. I'm using this full frame digital SLR with a 24-70 zoom lens on the front of it and a flash sync trigger on the top, and the whole thing is tethered into Capture One software. That way it's easy to show the results as we go along. Okay, so I'm just going to pop this on the tripod like that, and we'll just line up the shot. So looking through the viewfinder, first thing I'm going to do is just wind that up on the center column just to elevate the viewpoint. There we go. I think somewhere around there should do. All right. Now I'm going to just zoom the lens in to about there. And finally, I'll just check the focus. Okay, so with all that now done, the next thing to do will just be to turn the camera on, like this. And before I set any flash, what I'm going to do is just take a test exposure, just to make sure I'm not getting any contamination from the house lights. So you can see from this that at these settings, which are on the camera at the moment, so a shutter speed of 1/250th of a second, which is the flash sync speed for that camera, at ISO 100 and an aperture of f8, I'm getting no image with no flash, which is exactly what I want. Alright, so now it's time to set up a light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and set a light up to cast a shadow as if this was on the top of a high box. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is put a light with a softbox about here somewhere. So here I have a Profoto D2 with a 2 by 2 foot softbox on the front of it. Now the D2 is 1000 joules and has a modelling light in it and so on. And this should be more than adequate for this purpose. Okay, so placed about here somewhere. Initially, what I'll do, just turn that on, I've already set that on a arbitrary energy level of about halfway along its energy scale. I'll turn the flash sync trigger on and we'll just do a test exposure. Okay, and you can see from that straight away that's not too bad at all in terms of exposure, but the shadow is very soft. It's not quite what I want. So I need to make that shadow a little more pronounced. So the easiest way to do that would be to actually move this softbox further away. Therefore, from the subject's point of view, the softbox will be smaller, therefore the shadow will be more pronounced. Alright, so what I'll do, I'll just move this back to here somewhere. That. And we'll just take that up a little as well. Something like that. So it's virtually in the same position as it was before, but further away. Okay, now because it's further away, I'm going to need to add more energy due to the inverse square law. So just for a guess, I'm going to add 2 stops to that. So we'll just select that head and just add 2 stops, like so, and grab that again. There, that seems to have worked. You can see that the shadow is very different to what we had before. That's what we had before. This is what we've got now. Overall, it's maybe a little overexposed, so I might just take that down by half a stop, just to see what difference it makes. We'll grab that again. Yes, that's a bit better. Right, so this is all starting to come together quite well. So you may have noticed on the background here that despite using a very matte black piece of Perspex, I still have a slight sheen coming through. Now, in order to get rid of that, what I'm going to do is use a flag. So basically what I'm going to do is just put a flag in place along here just to try and take that sheen out of it. So to set that up, what I'm going to use is a C-stand, like this one, just with an arm on the top. So we'll just bring the arm up, like so. And to form the flag, I'm just going to use a piece of cloth. So just normal black cloth. I have quite a lot of this lying around and it's very useful for this sort of application. So we'll just put a clamp on that just to hold it in place. And down to the other end. So. There we are. So we need to now try and get this in something like the right position. But I'll start off with it somewhere around there. We'll just grab another image. There. Now that seems to have made this much better than it was before. So that's what we had before, and that's what we've got now. So overall, it's taken the exposure down slightly, but I think I can live with that. So as far as capturing the image is concerned, that's about it. So just to reiterate what I've done, I've moved the softbox here further back in order to make the shadow from the egg more pronounced. And then I've added this flag just to take the background down ever so slightly. So with those two things in place, we've ended up with an image which is pretty nearly there, straight out of the camera. So it just remains to go into Photoshop and do the bare minimum of post-production to finish off the image. So here we are in Photoshop, and I've loaded up the file that I captured earlier. So the first thing I'm going to do is just make a copy of this file. So I'm just going to go onto the layer here, right-click the mouse, come down to duplicate layer, and I'm going to ask for a new document, like that. and we'll just call that Card Illusion. There we go. So what that has done is made a copy which has made a new file at the top here. So the next thing to do would be just to have a general look at the image and see if there's anything generally that needs to be done to it. And I think the only thing is I'd still like to take a little bit more of this sheen off down in this corner. But apart from that, I think there's nothing to do to it at all, really. So the way that I'm going to do that, and there are very many ways of doing it, is I'm just going to sample some of the black at the top here. Just with the eyedropper tool. So somewhere around here, I'll just sample that. There we go. And now I'm just going to make a new layer, and with a fairly large paintbrush, maybe not quite that big, very soft large paintbrush, something like that, I'm just going to paint this corner in. There we are, just like that. There we are. I don't think it needs any more than that. So that's with it on and that's without it. Yes, I think that's worked very well. So with that done, I think the only other thing to do would be to look at a crop. As this will be destined for the video, I'm using 16:9 as a ratio, but you need to pick something which matches your subject really. And I'm just going to bring the sides in a little just to concentrate the image. Just take that up a bit, just to something like that, I think. Looks quite nice. Okay, so we'll just click on OK. And there we have it. So this is a simple optical illusion which has really been sold to the viewer by the way it's lit. So by having careful consideration to the depth and shape of the shadow, it's really made it work. Okay, well I hope you've enjoyed seeing how I made that image, and if you like watching these sort of things, do click on the other images as they appear, and don't forget to subscribe. Oh, and hit the like button. Thank you very much for watching.